Oof. Good morning and welcome to Monday, September the 15th, 2025. And today marks the 12 weeks till Christmas. Yeah, I know. Stop it. I know. I said it. It's been said. Okay? But we can do this. And instead of having the massive rush at the end of that time in the 2 weeks before Christmas, let's spread it out a bit. Do a little bit of this and that all the way along. And we're going to be able to do it and enjoy the day without feeling like we have run a marathon. Okay? Because we've had the chance to enjoy the journey. Now, being week 1, we start our stock take. Now, I've done a couple of videos on this in the past and such like, but we're going to do another one because this year I made these. I made stock take sheets because it might be just a little bit important so that we know what we have where. Now, this particular one I have made for the fridge and freezer. Okay, the fridge freezer in the kitchen, but I can also use it for my chest freezer, which is very small, as you guys have seen. It's quite small, and I can use it for that as well. Now, what I have is I have 6 different sections on here. One is for meat. I've also put fridge and freezer on the top because I didn't put that on the paper, so I've just written it in my bestest scribble. Just don't. It's not even 7 o'clock in the morning. Then we've got vegetables, pre-made items, fruit, desserts, and everything else. Now, under everything else, you can put things like, I don't know, ice cubes. Because I found a bag of ice cubes. I also found a couple of bottles of milk that have been sitting there for nearly a year that are only fit for making cheese at this point. You know, so it's always a good idea to know exactly what you've got. From there, we are then going to go to our working pantries, okay, and our other pantries that we have, right? So we want to know what are in our cupboards and our pantries. So we're going to start with this. Now, this is page 1 of this. So I need to put page 1 of pantries. Let's put the dry store pantry. Dry store pantry. Now, it is up to you if you have a long-term pantry, if you want to do that stock take at the very same time. Totally up to you. Go for it, you know. Page 1. What I have here is I also have meats. I have veg. I have fruit, desserts, dry store. So dry store being things like pasta, rice, noodles, any seeds, nuts, dried fruit, that kind of thing. Baking supplies. So any of your baking supplies like plain flour, self-raising flour, quinoa flour, rice flour, you know, all of the things, yeast, dry yeast, whether you've got fresh yeast you probably have in the freezer. I actually keep my yeast in the freezer, my dry store yeast. It was a little tip that was given to me by a friend and it's actually worked, so we're going to keep that. I also, because there are some of us who do some canning in different ways, but we also buy tins of things like pre-made meals, ravioli tins, mac and cheese, baked beans, spaghetti, all of that kind of stuff. Pre-made meals includes soups and stuff, okay? Then we've got stock. So if you've got stock cubes, packets of stock, cartons of stock, if you make your own stock and can it, you can put it all down there. As long as it's in the pantry and on the shelves, right? So this is all shelf stable stuff. Then we've got sauces. Now, whether you want to put your condiment sauces there or not is up to you. Now, I've used that for my condiment sauces because down here I've got cooking sauces. So things like gravy powders, you know, gravy granules, hollandaise sauce packets, shepherd's pie mixes, all that kind of stuff can go in your cooking sauces. And your normal sauces would be your ketchup, barbecue, all of that kind of stuff, soy sauce, whatever. I also have box mixes, things like your cake in a box things, or pancake packets, or you know, your ready-made box mixes for things. Yeah, so we've got a place for those. That could also include, if you're a veggie and you have like nut mixes and stuff like that for nut loaves or nut burgers or whatever, they can all go in there as well. Then your jams and spreads. Then we're going to go to page 3, which I felt, knowing what my lot's like, my shelves, and you guys have seen my shelves are rather taken up with herbs and spices. And then I've got seasoned blends, so mixed blends, so pre-made mixed blends. So if you've got things like your 5 spice powder or your mixed spice or your taco seasoning, whatever you're using, it goes down there. And then we've got curry pastes, etc. So that's things like your gochujang and your green curry mixes and red curry mixes and all of those kinds of things, if you have them. If you don't put them on. Use that space for something else. I don't care. Now, the other thing that I have as well, and I've printed out a few of these, are some blanks. You know, because it might be important to have your blanks there. Now, I know that every house is different, every home is different. So these are just what I've done for my home. Now, if you have Word or Open Office, all you need to do is open up a doc file, like a plain doc file, blank doc file, and put in a table. Now, all I've done is 2 columns, 49 rows, 49 rows. And all I did was I gave each section what I thought would be a good idea. Okay, I may run out, and in which case I've got these blanks. So this one is 2 with a 2. It's exactly the same as the others, but there's no actual titles in it. So you can put your overflow on that. Not a problem. Absolutely fabulous. But this is what we got to do now. You've got a week to do your stock take-in. You don't have to do it all at once, alright? I tried to start mine on Friday. Probably wasn't the best of ideas, and you might actually be seeing that video later on today. I'm just saying. So, this whole week, for our 90 days of Christmas, we're going to focus completely on just doing our stock take, okay? So what I might do is go through all my Christmas sweeties boxes, sort them out, because I've got a specific baking box that is just Christmas, and a specific box that we just put all of the munchy, sweetie, yummy things in, because that goes with the baking box, because a lot of that goes into decorations for the stuff that we do for Boxing Day for the kids and stuff. And it just happens that, you know, I was able to do that purchasing a couple of weeks ago, so because everything was on offer, so I grabbed it all. Does it mean that I'm not going to get more? No, it means that I'll probably get more, especially on November the 1st when all of the stuff from Halloween gets marked down, because, you know, free chocolate, pretty much 10p chocolate packs, you know, all of that stuff from Halloween gets marked down to around about 10-20p a pack. if that's the case, I'm going to grab as many as I can, because you're going to get things like caramels you can melt down, you're going to get chocolate you can melt down, you can get all of that. But we can talk about more of that when it comes down to planning, which will be next week. But this week we're going to focus completely on doing the stock take. All right. So during this week you're going to see videos from me that are to do with the day, what I've done in that day, where I've been focusing on, what I've been doing, and the projects that I've been doing to do with those. Okay, there may not be a lot of recipes, but you'll see kind of the gist of what I am doing with it, because things I'm just throwing together, they don't necessarily need a recipe. Okay, so for example, I may go through my veg drawer in my fridge and go, yeah, I'm going shopping on Wednesday, we're not eating any veg in particular. Between now and then, I'll make these into side dishes for the freezer so that they're ready for if we want to do a Sunday dinner, or they're ready for Christmas. You know, so we don't need to worry about it. You know, it's one less thing to worry about. Because the more we can do now and leading up to then, that's not going to cost us extra pennies, is all helps us in the end. Because it means that we can focus our money on the important things, or the things that we feel are important, or the more treat-like things, or the more expensive items, right? And not have to worry about feeding the family, because the family's already sorted. Yeah? So a few days ago you would have seen me slicing up turkey. Well, if it came down to it, we could use some of that sliced turkey and have that as our Christmas dinner. It would be done. It's already done. You know, if that's what we wanted to do, if we were in that situation and we had to do that. However, where Tanny works, they tend to give the guys who work there a turkey and a ham for Christmas as part of their bonus. So we don't need to worry about that so much. However, if they chose not to do it this year, or Tanny had had enough, decided to leave, we would still be in a position where we wouldn't have to worry about it. And quite frankly, I prefer to be in that position. You know, I don't want to worry about what's coming up. I want to be able to know that all I have to do when it comes down to Christmas or any events or gatherings or whatever's, that pretty much all I have to do is heat up or cook off the hot food that I've already prepped, so that I don't have to worry about anything, because it's already done. You know? We want to make it so it's as easy as it possibly can be for us. And we're not running around like mad things in the last week or two. On top of living our lives and having to do work and do all of the other things. So the whole point of the stock take is to see what you have now. Figure out what you have to work with between now and then. Are there things that you can rotate in your pantry and use right now to pre-make things like cakes, pastries, cookies, any kind of the baking side of stuff, side dishes, any of that kind of thing, to make sure that your life is made easier in the end and cheaper? Because it means that all that wonky veg and the veg that's kind of going off a bit is used. It's not going to waste. You know, you've got it. And it may not be the prettiest, but it doesn't matter, because it's still been able to be used. And that's what counts. And that's why we're doing this. But it also doesn't need to take up your entire life outside of what you're doing every day. So even if you put anywhere between 10 minutes and an hour aside to do this stuff, is entirely up to you. Now, I tend to do blocks of 10-minute jobs. Sometimes those jobs are only 5 minutes long. Well, then I can do 2 of them. You know, or I might do a whole lot that works together and then do the next step the next day. So, for example, I go through all of the veg at the bottom of my veg drawer that we're not going to use this week before we go shopping, so that I can clean out the veg drawer ready for the next week. I can make those I can prep them all by top tailing, getting all the grubby stuff off, peeling them all, getting them ready. And then tomorrow, after I do a bit of a stock take of the rest of the freezer, or if I do a part of the... I am dreading doing my herb and spice racks, I'm just saying. But, you know, that's a thing that has to be done as well, you know. So, if I do that, then I might be able to just put those side dishes together while I'm prepping dinner or whatever, you know. So it doesn't all have to be right now. It can be a little bit of this and that as you can. Now, if you're at home all day, you know, like I am, because, you know, I can't go out to work, then having these little extra bits and bats make you feel like you're contributing a bit more and you're achieving something and you've been useful that day and productive. So let's keep doing that and let's see how we go. You know, we have 90 days and we have 12 weeks, and yeah, we're gonna start right now. See you soon. Now, if you want to join in either of these challenges, either of them, please let me know. You know, it could be on Instagram, it could be on Facebook, it could be on YouTube. I don't care where it is. You know, I really, really don't care where you're doing it. It could be on the TT, it could be anywhere, you know. But just let me know. And these are the hashtags that you need to use in your video so people can find you. Okay? Like me. And tag me in it. Tag me in it. You know, at Blue Self-Reliance. I'll find you. Because I'll be tagged. Okay? So, wherever you're going to do it, give me a tag and I will find you. And, yeah, let's have a playlist. Let's do a stock takings playlist this week. Yeah? See how many people can get started on their stock take this week. You might want to do it different to me. That's entirely up to you. You know, you do your stock take how you want to, right? I mean, part of my stock take I got to do in here. In my craft room. In the office. Because getting ready for Christmas ain't just about the food. Let's be honest. It's not just about the food. No, it's not. So, we're just going to tackle different things, different days. So, yeah, give me the hashtags. And tag me in your posts or reels or videos or whatever. And I'll add you to the playlist. See you then.